Alex. How are you?
Haha, what's up, man?
Everything is great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I was on my live trying to figure out if you guys were jumping on board or I tuned out and I told everybody to come back and join us
All
on
right,
your
perfect.
live.
So
So,
we'll get them right on in just a minute. So tonight's a great talk for us. We've never had you on. You and I have talked in the past about the work that you do and your career, and so I just want us to get into it.
yes.
So,
Let me
you know,
just they're killing the music here. They're gonna kill the music in the background here a little bit, and just so I can hear you guys a little bit better.
you got
Okay,
it.
there we go. Now I can hear you better.
So, for you have a lot of your people on here uh, that know your work and that know, a little bit about you and maybe know you through the tattoo world. But, where did it all start for you?
That's always a good question, man. So let's go back a little bit and kind of break down. So I get that question a lot, and honestly, for me, growing up in Los Angeles, and especially the Pico Union district of Los Angeles, that's kind of where it all started and where it all traces back to. For those that are familiar with it, then you know what I'm talking about. For those that are from out of state or out of the city or just unfamiliar with that area, man. So I'm 48 years old, and growing up in Pico Union at the time when I was a young boy in my early teens, man. The writing, the explosion of gang writing and markings all over the walls, on top of the graffiti that came in from like the New York style graffiti that came in the mid 80s or early 80s, just kind of left no room. There was no wall untouched there. So my influences as a kid, like I was always trying to draw and trying to be an artist as a young kid. Um, the influence that I drew from that, and the 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 attraction to lettering and the attraction to the discipline style, like block Oz and all that, kind of came with the territory. It was almost like you kind of grew up into that. Um, so some of those, I mean, are early picks. You could kind of tune right through those. But so we're talking as a young kid, those are some early letters, man, from like 86, 87, but that you're looking at now. But as a young kid, man, just trying to imitate all the writing that you saw on the walls. This is before attempting graffiti, before this is way before what you're looking at now. I was always trying to write the way the other older kids in the neighborhood did. It was something that just I was attracted to, and I loved looking at, and I loved the way the letters. I mean, to me, that was our calligraphy. Those are our calligraphy styles in the hood, man. And it kind of goes back to those were my early roots before there was any influence of New York style graffiti or anything like that. Before we started going to the Radiotron, and before that, I was exposed to all the writings in the neighborhood, man. All the placazos, all the gang writing, and let's be real, man. A lot of people wonder where, they ask like, where do these letters come from or whatever, and they were used to mark up the neighborhoods, man. We were identifying the neighborhoods where we grew up, plain and simple, man. We had no canvases. There was no, mom, I'm gonna go buy some art supplies or whatever. We were tagging on walls, man, putting our names up. Actually, one of the homies that put that up is on the live, or I think he tuned back in. But this is what I saw every day, and um, coming out of my back door and front door, and later on became really, really good at doing this style of lettering. But I was practicing it way before I joined any gang or any of that stuff. And I gave my shot. We had this talk. I gave I had a phase of kind of the graffiti style that kind of came in, and the colorful pieces. And I went to the Radiotron and was hanging out with Prime and breakdancing and all that. But I never really flourished in that world. It was always like I took this detour and became part of the neighborhood gang there, and took a crazy path down this road of I don't want to settle too much on these picks, but I'm gonna touch on the history of that. It took me down this journey of practicing the letter forms, and start getting incarcerated, and getting in trouble, and kind of a life of hardships, and a life of trying to get out of, like later on, and you realize that you want to kind of change things up. I don't want to go too far off track, but the history comes from growing up in Pico Union, and the influence comes from the neighborhood, from the lettering. A lot of people, I'm gonna clarify this, man. A lot of people always say, "Man, check these dudes out. They're doing your letters or whatever." I don't know if I, in these later years, became the face of some types of hand styles in the tattoo community or whatever, traveling around the world and putting them in some reference books. And I just want to clarify, like, the placazos have been around for decades, bro. Like, since the 40s or 30s, or even they've been traced back to even the 20s. There's sidewalk carvings around there. And if you look at the discipline in those letter forms, man, they've evolved every decade. There's been an evolution of lettering and another evolution. And I think when I came into it, it was kind of that era where it just became a real competitive. The Rampart district of LA, I'm sure you're familiar with it, became a really competitive place when it came to marking walls or getting up on buses and all that stuff, man. You feeling me, bro? You there?
I do. I'm listening, and when you look at these letters, and it's funny that you say that people attribute these letters to you that don't necessarily know the history of Los Angeles and all the wall writing there and all the gang writing, because you would see this everywhere. You would see this, for as long as I can remember, and it's just a sort of a street tradition that now has crossed over, and you see it around the world that might not have the same neighborhood
Yeah.
connection, because people just started maybe imitating it.
I can hear ghosts a lot of it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm moving to a different area in my studio, but go ahead. I'm still listening, bro.
So I'm just saying that people have been able to see this maybe online or learn about it through your tattoo style, and don't necessarily have the same connection to it the way that someone from Los Angeles would, that just grows up seeing it on the streets.
Yeah, we had this conversation, right, a few days ago, and I had said, like, let's save some of the good stuff. By no one's fault is there's like a misconception. People are kind of confused as to where I feel like some of the hand styles came from or evolved from, or where to trace them back to. I feel like the internet really helped those letters get out into the world and kind of explode out there. The thread is different. Had some of those people not had access to the internet or to certain things, they would never be driving down some streets in LA in that era, driving down those alleys to see those letter forms or whatever. It's one of those things where when those letters were up and being practiced at that level, there was a threat attached to them, I feel like. And as we came in later and we were trying to escape a certain lifestyle and trying to turn our lives around, some of us, that's all we had to that. Honestly, bro, that's really the only tool that I found that really helped me get the fuck out of a lifestyle that I got into, and that I had no idea, that it was going to end up that way. But that the fact that I practiced these letter forms so well and did them and hung on to them sacredly forever, like my whole life, and later on I was able to use them to escape a certain lifestyle, to escape a certain thing, and educate people on them and put them into to a book and into things. And it's always tricky because you're trying to figure it out as you go along. It ain't like there was a special, there was never an idea to say, I'm going to put these letters in a book and put them out there. It was, me kind of going with situations that I was encountering and being exposed to. I'm giving you guys a little tour of my studio right now as I'm talking. I think it'll flow better than just staring at my face the whole time. But I feel like people got the privilege, man, to see these letter forms that were created, because I'll be honest, bro, like some of these letter forms that the homies put out and that the guys were putting out, I'm showing you guys some commission work, are amazing, bro. They're all self-taught. The discipline, the amount of work that goes into them, and they were kids on every block inventing these letter forms. It was something amazing, man. A lot of them probably won't ever have the chance to shine, or got locked up, or kind of it comes with that territory, man, of being in that neighborhood stuff. But they definitely, everyone that was practicing these letter forms left something for the world to enjoy, man, and I feel like we're carrying that torch. If that makes sense to you guys, here's some commission work, guys. Just, we're showing some comic. Can we skip over on the top photo to another one?
Yeah, let's you mentioned
You can
leaving a
skip through
certain
some of
light.
those, bro. I don't want to lock in some jail stuff. I could touch on that. Some old ballpoint pen art that we have there. So I know I sent you a lot of photos. I wanted to kind of cover a lot of ground, and have a lot
So
of.
we'll jump around,
Yeah.
but as you've become this keeper of letters, so to speak, and because of your access, because of where you live and the lifestyle that you've had, you saw all these letters, and you memorized them, you kept them, you made them your own, and you mastered them. Just are there names for these different styles? Because there's so many.
I'll be honest, bro. Man, it's something I've thought of, bro. In my head, I have some names for certain styles. I remember when I was influenced by certain styles. When certain people came into Pico Union that were from out of Pico Union and introduced different styles that merged in with what we were doing there. But there's really no names for them, bro. I'm kind of I would say, man, that I became a letter engineer or something, man. I love creating letters, bending letters, and making all these styles. Sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're fluid, sometimes they're really graceful. It just kind of depends on what I'm working on now. But there's hundreds, man. I actually pulled some books, but I'll touch on that towards the end. A bunch of stuff that I've been putting together. I keep saying I'm going to put out this lettering Bible, but I feel like it's not time. I have maybe about 1,000 pages of things scattered around in different portfolios and stuff that no one's really seen, that I'd love to kind of show, but I don't know what the right format to do that is, like, yet. I don't know if a regular book or a book at all, or what I want to do with them yet. So I keep rethinking my introduction to that pile of lettering that I have, because it's so sacred. But I would say I really don't have any names for them. I could actually look at a letter form and say, hey, this is like an 80s style, or a Pico Union style, or an East LA style. But there's so many versions of things, so many Rockwood style, and the guys on 6th and Union were big pioneers on bringing some pretty interesting letter forms into the street, man, of LA.
So maybe you can help us go through, just so we learn a little bit more about these styles. And just in the image that I have up on the screen, there are 3 to 4 different letter styles, right? There's the script style at the very top.
Yep.
That says Los Angeles. That isn't a typical script style. It's very much unique to Los Angeles.
Yep.
Because of all those whips, correct?
Yes, I got really good, man. I spent a lot of time in juvenile institutions, bro, and later on as an adult inside the California state prison system. And I used to love writing letters, man. And I got really good at writing fancy letters, and penmanship was always something I loved. So we're better to practice it than in there. But I became, not only by my own hand, but by being around homies that had been there for a long time. You got to remember, man, some of these guys in there, I mean, they're masters at that, bro. Like these script style and really fancy, elegant styles of lettering that you could find in the prisons, man. And if you look up on top, above the Los Angeles, inside the building silhouettes, it's filled with a different style of lettering, which is more of a, a little bit more 80s or 90s style. Like they're a lot angrier, more like territorial style letters. But the script itself is something special, man. It's something sacred, Everybody got their mom's name tattooed with that style, or their girlfriend's name and their kids' names. And for I feel like since I was a kid till about the mid 90s, that's really was the common style of tattoo lettering, aside from Old English, so aside from black letter. That was like the two common styles that were seen in the tattoo world, man. And if I could be mistaken, but where I come from, even even face tattoos, man. Like I didn't really see any face tattoos anywhere out of like where I thought they kind of the way that LA brought the face tattooing to the forefront was special, man. They went out of their way to mark their faces with the fancy writing and the gang tattoos and all that, you know. And I had my share in tattooing people at that level like that. Um, I see the script there too. I love tattooing that style of writing, man. But it's been fun all the way around to actually practice
It,
so many letter forms on people, you know.
yeah, I mean, I love that you're calling it or calling it out as elegant, right? Because it is this elegant style, and that everybody does get. It's one of those first tattoos. The first word, the names that you get are in this script style because you want to honor this person or this name that you're writing on your body, and so it means a lot to be able to find someone that could do it and do it
Yeah.
well.
Okay, can we scroll up just to see who's on, or is my thing unable to scroll? Is it your end that needs
It's
to
it's
scroll?
it's my end can scroll, so you got to kind of watch it as they come in.
I
So
got you.
I don't know who's on here, but we have a lot of viewers, and so I want to talk about these styles because you've kept them and you mix them.
Yeah.
You're sort of modifying it. So here we see, let's say, a script style, but it's very different from what we've seen before. It's thicker, it has more waves or cuts to it. It splits. It's not the old school script style that we just saw a minute ago.
Yeah, I think that's when, when we get to a level where we feel comfortable enough to start experimenting with letters and finding your own forms to shape and bend and kind of call your own or your own versions of something that you were influenced by, man. It's a letter still has to be a letter up until some point where you're able to build the name. I mean, nobody wants to just say in the tattoo world, it was hard to make the initial transition from tattooing people that weren't familiar with hand styles or familiar with letters that you couldn't really read. But then there was this period where it became kind of like from 1 year to another for me, like traveling around doing hand styles, it became like the script and what you're looking at now to the most popular tattoos I was doing were the most legible styles that were probably the rarest that hadn't been seen outside of LA yet. People were like, oh shit, I want to get this better. Like something happened in there where it became that thing, Look at those bottom letters. Look at how beautiful. I mean, look at the center, how nice that script is, right? But that success is a classic Cholo style, from Los Angeles, bro. I'm not going to call it mine. It's just a real classy style. Maybe it's got a little sleeves twist in there. But those letter forms, I mean, they're straight LA when you see them, bro, That revenge right there, you could just stare at it and say, that's LA writing to the fullest, The script,
Yes.
well, the script is universal, bro. The Cholo writing and the hand style, I would always say, like, not if I don't want to go and just say LA, but Southern California, bro, like you look at it and how many people started accepting it and wanting to get that style of writing tattooed on them was amazing. For me, it kind of was even a little bit more amazing because I was actually in the process of traveling as a tattoo artist early on. Had never gone anywhere in my whole life before, besides different parts of California, being transferred from like one juvenile facility to another or state prison to another. So my first times out were like amazing to think, damn, these people are loving these letters. It's like a big compliment. It's a big thing to feel that people are really wanting to get the type of stuff that you're actually been doing your whole life on their bodies, man. If that makes sense. It was kind of mind blowing in the beginning because I'm like, dude, like, we were doing this in the hood, we were doing this in alleys, we were doing it in jail cells, we're now doing it in Amsterdam and in Germany, and it's just crazy the way things kind of fell in place, man. It was I guess a lot of elements put together: the timing, the fact that I was ready to make that change, which is how I ended up traveling to begin with. The fact that I mean, I've been disciplined at lettering since way back, bro. Like I used to want to be the best hood letterer, in Pico Union, man. I was like, man, I gotta always, there's a lot of dope lettering kids that come out of there, man. I got homies that are amazing letterers, man. There's so many guys come out of those areas that are masters at it, I'm sure there's a few of them on here right now. I'm not sure if they jumped on. It seems like on my end it's frozen. Nothing's moving as far as followers or anything. So I can't tell if there's any questions or anything coming in.
Well, listen, for everybody that's joining us, we're with Big Sleeps. He's breaking down the letters that he grew up with and that he has mastered in his life from Los Angeles, from starting out in Pico Union. If you have any questions, you could throw them in the question button at the bottom of your screen, and we will get to them towards the end of the talk. You could also throw them in the comment section. We'll try to catch them there. But we're being schooled in this Cholo style of writing, and sort of the I guess the crossover, or how these letters gain popularity around the world. And it's amazing, to hear and to know that these letters that started off as this local street thing, local to Southern California, have traveled around the world and have gotten sort of respect and recognition, and people love them, and you're able to make a living with letters, which is incredible.
Yeah, that's a good point to touch on, man. I think, for me, and I'll take it back to if I was just tattooing and staying out of trouble and off of lettering, I would have been happy already, man. I'm not that type that just settles for whatever. I always, try to outdo myself. I'm always in competition with myself. The fact that I kept going and kept pushing the boundaries and was surrounded by people like Deffer, Prime, Slick, Gajin, and homies that were dropping those gems in my ear, man. I saw the opportunities, and it's one of those things. Nothing was by luck. I always hear people say, "Oh, my homie does those letters," and I'm like, I got another ton of homies that do those letters. It's not about just doing the letters. It's where you're at in your life and what you're willing to do when the opportunities arise to take those chances, or to even want to do them. I mean, just because you were good at lettering as a kid doesn't mean you pursued it for 20 years straight or something. That's a combo of me and Deffer there. But I think the elements were right, man, for me to get out and kind of want to turn things around, and already witnessing Deffer's growing into the art world, and Prime doing his thing. And I was tired of that bullshit life, man. I was tired of it. My wife had my back 100%, and she was helping me push that boundary. It was actually her idea to put a book together, man. And she's like, dude, you should, all the stuff I sent home from prison, all the envelopes and all the stuff, it was in a scrapbook, man. When I started taking it to tattoo conventions, it's crazy, because I remember people walking up and they were like, dude, I want to get that writing. Like, all that stuff in that book, people are like, I want that right there. And I was like, dude, have you noticed that it's all the jail stuff that people really hadn't seen too much, some of those styles, and they were really attracted to those styles, The authenticity, I guess, goes a long way in this world, man, of tattooing, People want to try different things and see different things, but I think I was ready to embrace that door when it opened, man. I was ready. I wasn't in a bad place. I wasn't fucking up. I was ready to try to do something. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. In 2008, I was like, man, am I going to airbrush? Am I going to tattoo? Am I going to get a 9-to-5? And I found a job tattooing at a shop and start from scrap again, man. I went to Modern Ink in Inglewood. Shout out to Woody, man, for giving me that chance again. 2008, I had already worked at shops before. I had done some stuff for Psycho Realm. I had done all kind of things, but it was a roller coaster. I wasn't ready to embrace what was really coming, man. This time around, I really was ready, and every time a door opened up, I, kind of analyzed it and just took that step in and said, all right, I'm ready, No hesitation, no fear. I mean, how much worse can things get, or how fearful can you be of something good happening, bro? So I just kind of played it like that, and it was it's been a learning experience all the way to where I am today, man. I don't know what to call it today. It's like a dream come true times 10, man, to be able to paint canvases and own my own brand and have this building that I just gave you guys a little tour through, and to be doing commission work and all that. through lettering, through putting, I mean, it's not just because of the lettering, it's the amount of work that has gone into learning how to brand myself and, staying consistent, bro, not falling off and not cheapening shit down and knowing when to say no, when to say yes. Um, any questions from any other guys in there?
Well, I think one of the things that you mentioned is something, for people to recognize is, a few things, the discipline, the dedication that you've had uh, to grow into your own success, and also the artists that you surround yourself with, the people that push you and inspire you to be better at what you do. You mentioned uh, Defer, you mentioned Prime. These are people that have also, much like yourself, keep pushing, their art, and you come up together. Although you might be on separate paths, but there's images that you sent of collaborative pieces, whether they're walls or they're canvases, and you guys are pushing each other. And a lot of folks have to recognize that sometimes a journey isn't always by yourself, and that
Oh,
there's
no.
there's a, there's a team there.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say that straight up, bro. Like, had it not been for the support system I had, I mean, and those people that were kind of there recognizing the talent and seeing the potential early on, and there's times when I just fucked off so much advice back in the days, and I'm kind of glad I did, man. Had I hit it big or came up on certain things at the wrong time, maybe it would have been destructive, But sticking to it and having that group of friends and being happy when I saw them succeed was one of the things that, kind of made me feel like, man, I could get there. I just got to push. It's crazy because you don't know what direction to go in. I was like, I'm just tattooing, you know, um, everything else kind of came with the flow, and I found the door and it opened. I actually opened the door and looked inside and said, what's in this door, man? Nothing's going to fall on your lap, bro. You got to build your name. You got to build things. Um, I just feel like I was able to see certain things and want to venture down that path, and um, everything just kind of happened, and we took that opportunity. The merchandise, the brand that I own now, I mean, I have a pretty successful clothing company or, merchandise that I sell to all kind of people from all over the world that have been following the journey. And that was kind of by demand. I remember going to conventions early on and taking some of Slick's merchandise and some of the Psycho Realm merchandise or just other people's merch just to make some extra ends meet. And, by demand, people were like, man, you should drop your own shit. And, everything that was put into my ear, I had to analyze it and say, man, I should drop my own stuff. Am I willing to do it? Do I even have the money to go there? But everything was a risk, man. And everything at this point, when I felt like I was on fire, I felt like I just had that fuel tank on full, ready to just burn all that. I'm like, let's do it, man. There's no turning back. Um, and I'm glad I took that chance, man, because had I not, maybe all of that would have been invested into the wrong, it might have been a energy spent on something negative, man. Um, I had a
Yeah,
history of making bad choices, for many years, many years. And so I wanted to always stay busy. I'll be honest, man, staying busy and focused and grounded was one of my, I'm just showing you guys work, but it was one of my main things to always keep myself surrounded by positive people and positive things to do or whatever. Um, and I still try to do that now. I love hanging out with people that keep me sharp, bro. Um,
it's a blessing to be able to do that, and it's definitely the right way to approach things. So I want to get into the tattoo work. And you had mentioned, coming back 2008, Inglewood, getting a shot, and then you also mentioned sort of the adoption of letters and people wanting these letters and wanting to have them on their skin, and how that's maybe a tradition that goes back, to the 80s or older, but very much an LA tradition at first. Like you see
yeah.
these styles on skin for, LA, and then you see now people getting them more and more and more often than not. And I want to show people some of the work that you've been doing, that you're sharing with us, so
Yep.
that they get an understanding of the caliber of the work that you've been doing. and then just how committed your clients are. You know, people that fall in love with the style. These are big pieces. These are significant pieces that people get.
Yeah, they are. They are. Um, Honestly, man, I'm gonna have to be honest and say that that tattooing, man, making that choice to go and try to get a job at a shop with an ankle bracelet on, my parole officer breathing down my neck, bro. I didn't want to go the wrong route and go back, revert to old ways. So I said, man, I'm gonna go and put together a little tattoo machine. I think my girl had saved up like $300, bro. And I was like, fuck it, we'll get a machine and get the cheapest shit and try to make it work. And it was more of a, at that moment, I did what I had to do to kind of get into a shop or whatever. And there I go, starting from scratch again and trying to do the right thing. At that early couple months, I could honestly say it was more just to stay out of trouble, or I kind of had to get myself into something before I got locked up again or whatever. And, you know, once I got in the zone again and tapped into them creative juices, and everything kind of started brightening up and falling into place, man. Had my homie, had Mario not given me a shot, who knows, man, I might have just said, man, fuck this, bro. It's easier to go back and do some other dumb shit. But I started building up my portfolio again. Keep in mind, I had already tattooed at shops before and tattooed on Sick Jack and tattooed on a bunch of people, and, went through a phase of, alcohol and drugs and, fucking up and just kind of what comes with the territory. But the early tattooing for me was the homies getting me into tattooing or asking me to tattoo them because I did dope letters. Keep in mind, a lot of homies were dope at lettering. They were just like, come on, tattoo me, bro, you're dope. And it was kind of one of those things that just enough people asked enough times that I just gave in, and as a youngster, and said, all right, let's try it and let's do it. I'm kind of glad that I had that in my past, because I reverted back to it and kind of slowly built a career out of it little by little. And when I was ready to make that change, that's really what changed my life, bro. Sticking to that shop. At that time, I just felt like, man, if I don't get it right this time, I'm already in my 30s or something. I'm not gonna get it, bro. I was in a walk-in shop though, and a lot of the tattoos that were coming in there weren't that style of tattoos. They were all fucking flash on the wall type tattoos, and so I was always hopeful. I'm like, man, I hope some people come in for lettering, and it was one of those things that was there but not yet. But I was getting myself back sharpening up my skills again. It had been a while since I was steadily tattooing, so it gave me some good practice, man. And I started building up enough people to start trusting to get something different than the average letter form. Like, let me do these hand styles. Let me, people came in for some gang tattoos. I don't do that. No, I'm really trying not to go with that gang tattoo stuff no more. But at that time I was still like, fuck it, I'll do a little banger on you or whatever. It was still something I was entertaining, and it just kind of came enough. And when it was time to put that book together, that was kind of the launching pad. That once I put that book out, I feel like from there on out, everything else fell in place, man. That book got put out, and it was actually put out as a tattoo reference guide. It was put out for tattooers to reference lettering, man. I didn't know how successful the book was going to be. I had no clue, man. I remember when we were going to print it, and I think they were like, we were going to print 150 books, and I was like, who the fuck is ever going to buy 150 books? It seemed like it just seemed like a load of books that would never leave our inventory. And that was definitely an understatement, man. It was probably one of the best decisions I ever made to put a book together like that, because things started moving fast after that. A lot of distributors from around the world that supply tattoo artists with reference books started picking them up, and so the name kind of started spreading around in Europe and Mexico. And it just was one of those things that the more distributors picked them up, the more people were kind of aware of that I existed. So when I set foot in those countries, man, people were ready to embrace something that the local tattoo shops had already purchased. People were already practicing some of that stuff because they were referencing it now. So when I went out there, it was like kind of a fire, kind of like a fire went off, like for me. I mean, everyone was trying to get that stuff. It was an interesting part of the career, man, to see things kind of take shape, or to get that reaction from a book you put out with not that intention, but to see how well it was received. It was a simple reference book with a lot of dope stuff, a lot of dope styles, a lot of dope everything went into that, you know. And I think it's one of the best choices I made was to put it out, because in the beginning I was like, maybe I should, and you know, those that voice in your head that's kind of pulling you in two directions or whatever. But my girl was like, man, let's do it, let's run this shit, you know. It was, I don't want to get too far into it, but it was a really interesting time for us, man. It definitely was a life changer, you know.
And so, is that book still available? Can people still find it if they're interested in it?
Yeah, people, man, that book hasn't stopped selling, bro. It's Letters to Live by Volume One, man. I named my first corporation after that. Um, I named my first corporation after that, Letters to Live by Inc., man. And I remember when we put it out, I didn't even have a website, didn't know shit about online, didn't know nothing, but we figured it all out, man. We kind of figured it all out, you know. I think I'm putting the website up there.
Yeah, no, and I think it's incredible. Sometimes, you don't know you're going to make a hit, but you believe in it and you put it out. And you going out and self-publishing this book, it's so important for members of our community, for people to believe in themselves and to
Yeah.
put their own history out there, to put their own knowledge out there. Because if you're waiting for others to do it, they're not going to do it. And so sometimes we just have to jump into it and be that entrepreneur and be that business owner or be that historian and do the work. So I salute you for doing that work. I remember when you dropped it, it was such a unique item. It's something that hadn't been done before. And so that just gave it that much more value and significance. It's a historical piece.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I do want to say that it's good to believe in yourself, man, and to want to. So, sometimes it feels scarier. I mean, it's hard to believe in something when you have no. I mean, I didn't go to business school, none, but thank God I had that street hustle or that mindset to know how to kind of make things work, you know. So I just took a matter of figuring out how to apply that mindset to something I had, and learning that, okay, this book is out and it's doing that good, but am I just barely scratching the surface? I could have probably said, "Oh shit, I did it. I hit the mountaintop." But that was just the precursor for the real storm that came. You know, I mean, I opened up the floodgates, bro. Like, and not intentionally, man. I feel like like I said, I was surrounded with the right people, man. You know, at the right time where they were blowing up, and they kind of brought me along. They saw the sincerity in me trying to turn it around and do some positive things and do some art. And I was there, man. I was there ready to put the work in that it took. None of it was by luck, man. I know a lot of people, you know, it's easy to see social media and think, man, these dudes kill it fast. But the amount of years that I've been doing letters, bro, and doing this shit, it's a long time, bro. Like, you know, it's a really long time that it took to get to this level. It's not 10 years, it's not 20 years. I've been doing these letters since I was early junior high school or elementary school, bro. So it's been a long time that I've been practicing them without any intent. No one ever knew letters were gonna blow up like this, or these letters were gonna blow up like that, and that being that having that authenticity to kind of go with it would be the icing on the cake to kind of catapult you to the next level in your career. You know, I know that a lot of people are intrigued by the story. I've done some seminars where you guys could can you guys hear me good? I feel like it's
No, we hear you perfect.
okay. Yeah, I've done some seminars, man, where I feel like a lot of people everywhere I learned are really intrigued with the lettering. But more than that, man, some of those seminars, I could almost predict what the main questions are going to be. And a lot of those are, where did those come from? Like, how was it growing up where you grew up? Like, there's this taboo part of kind of having that history to you that makes them a lot more special. You know what I mean? It wasn't just a kid that learned them on the internet. There was a lot more that came. I mean, you know, bro, you're familiar with the history of LA. A lot more that came with that makes them. I feel like that's what makes the value in them today. Like, we're able to sell art. We're doing stuff with museums. I mean, we're in the Getty, bro. We're in so many other places, you know. Doing things at that level, but there's a story attached to them that makes it like this part of LA, this indigenous Los Angeles writing that has so much history to it, bro. You know, I feel like that's what got us to that next phase, that we hung on long enough to make it to that level, to be recognized at this point when maybe I always say, like, the smoke cleared, you know, we're kind of out of that lifestyle and far enough away to be able, I mean, we still practice the letters, but obviously not in a negative way. I'm not out there putting up gang writing anymore, bro. Like, you know, I don't do that. I do, if I can educate kids on how to practice their letter forms to build a brand or do something else, I'm all for it, bro. So the direction of why the letters are being practiced changed, but the passion was always there. We were just caught up in a lifestyle where we felt we need to write what neighborhood we lived in and on the walls that were there or whatever. Now it became other things that we write, you know, messages and positivity or whatever, or if it's a commission, whatever they're asking for, you know. That's a K2S collaborative there, man. That was a really fun piece there. And I don't even remember how many artists were on that, but there was a whole crew of us. My homeboy Calm One, which is another beast with the letters, Luke, my brother Prime, Kale, myself, Gabe, I can't remember, Copy. There was a whole bunch of guys, man, from the crew that were there working on that piece. That's one of my favorite productions, man. And look at how there's a little bit of a kind of a modern element to it, but you still see the structures of the Los Angeles style block forms. You know, for those that are familiar, if you can look at that R and that N, you know that's Prime right there all day, bro. Like, Prime has an ability to shape and shift letters in a way that it's hard to mimic, man. You know, then you see Calm's style. I don't even remember what letter I did on there. I think I did one or two of them, but that's an amazing piece. I don't know if people are, like I said, I can't see anything. I can't see if people are dropping comments or anything, bro. I don't know why.
They are. And let's share some of these questions. And so there's one question which says, there are talented artists all around the world doing a similar version of this style now. For example, in South Korea and China has some amazing lettering talent. How do you feel about the style reaching such a global audience? And is it cultural appropriation or an homage?
That's, you know what? That's always a tough, man. It's such a tough question to kind of nail, like put the nail like right where it belongs. Because as a tattooer, so I'm gonna be like, let's get it straight to the point where I always feel like, with me personally, I don't feel threatened showing kids or other people how to do letter forms. I was taught letters and I learned letters in a different element than some other people that I've had conversations with, where they don't want to share anything and they're like, oh, that dude's doing this and that. It's more of the like different mindset and the biting and all these guys biting the styles. And I don't know, there's this different thing about me because of how I was raised and how I lived and whatever, like how I grew up. I mean, the letters didn't belong to me, bro. So in LA, those letters, they were everywhere, bro. Like, you can go down every block in LA at some point in the 80s and 90s, and those letters were being practiced, maybe a little different, bent a little different, a little rounder, a little squarer. But I mean, the Cholo writing has been in the letter forms in the hundreds, if not in the thousands. I don't feel like they're coming in there and trying to be gangsters or trying to, you know, they're being influenced kind of by something that they hadn't seen before. Lettering is beautiful, man. Like when I love script, and when I was studying all the old English styles, when I was incarcerated in California Youth Authority, I was always looking for some books that had something a little more ornate, a little more different than what I was used to. Was hungry for that new material, man. And I think some of these guys are practicing things that I sold in a book. Had it not been for me selling that book, maybe I wouldn't have catapulted to the level where I'm at. You know, that was like the launching pad for me. I put these letter forms in there and I took that chance and said, I'm going to throw them out into the universe, bro, and see what I get back. See what brings, you know, what comes back with it. So I'm not pissed at anybody using the forms that I put in that book. There is some that go overboard and really mimic it to the T, but I'm like, if you feel comfortable enough in your mind and think I'm going to mimic sleeves to the point that you can't tell the difference, I'm not sure what type of career they're trying to make, or maybe it's an early phase where they haven't figured it out yet. But I don't feel threatened, or I don't feel like they're doing the culture thing or whatever. I mean, it's such a widespread thing through every country that it just became like wildfire. You got to remember, we live in times of the internet and social media and everything else. You know, I've seen people dressing like cholos and doing a little bit more than maybe they don't understand it or whatever. But I don't think it's my job or my place to take it personal and try to go over there and police that. You know, it's one of those things, man, that you're not really gonna make a dent in it, bro. Like when I do seminars, I try to tell people how important it is to be mindful of how creative you can become on your own and develop your own style. And I always try to deter people from saying, remember, man, like if you mimic someone, to what extent are you like not even creating your own self no more? Like you're just trying to be like the next person, you know, in a nice way, I try to say it. But I've done seminars with kids that are so young, they don't understand. They're just trying to copy exactly what you're giving them. So at what, you know, where's the proper age to draw the line with that? I have a different way that I see it. I've had kids as young as 6, 7, 8 years old join my workshops at Toberman Park. And I've had people up in their 70s, 75-year-olds joining my workshops that have no intent in like robbing our culture or anything. They love the letter forms. They love calligraphy. So they're just practicing something new, something beautiful. You know what I mean? Like the letter forms are so beautiful. I could see why people want to copy them, bro. Like, so I don't get mad because I'm like, dude, you know, like what's to say? Like I was doing those letter forms. Now, if they were writing gang shit with them, like, or coming and mimicking the gang blocks, which they didn't belong to in those, you know, then it might rub me the wrong way and be like, now you're going overboard. But they're using them in the sense, there's a lot of tattooers that are putting out books with all this material and a lot of stuff. And people are using them to, I mean, we're feeding them something, they're giving it.
I think we just lost you, Sleep. So you're freezing up a little bit. Your connection there. You know, in what you're saying, you know, I could appreciate it, and I think that the gift of these letters, you're giving them to people, and people are able to use it and maybe start careers, start companies. I can see you. You're back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry
So
about that. I'm not sure
no
what
problem.
happened there. You know, I've
You
had
know,
people join seminars and things like that at ages that are, you're like, how could you be mad at this kid, bro? Like, he has no clue about anything. He just loves the letter forms. That's it, with pure innocence of like trying to jack the culture. But then there's been some that walk in wearing the Pendleton, wearing the Dickies, wearing the, you know, my mind frame isn't in that place anymore where I could say, hey, bro, now you're going way the fuck overboard. Like, I don't want to become the police of that shit, bro, you know? I'm out there to inspire, bro, and give people that hope that they could be like, man, if I could even make it halfway where this guy went, then I'm winning. You know what I mean? There it goes. This thing started moving now. I could see who's on there now.
okay, good. So other questions. Let's see. Scroll through this. Um, you know, if you were name an artist or a writer that had influence on you, who would that be? Or the biggest influence?
Oh man, that's a tough one, bro. I'm gonna have to put Prime on the spot, bro. Me and Prime go back, bro, to shit, man. Like maybe I was about 6 or 7, so he's about 2 years older than me, and he was already a killer letterer, bro. So, I mean, we were young kids before joining gangs and before anything. Prime was probably one of the most important in the gang writing styles, that bring styles that and evolve them to levels that still haven't been matched, and to play a role in the graffiti world just the same. You know, he's been a good friend of mine. We're still in daily contact after 40 years, man, of friendship, bro. We're still collaborating on stuff. We're still I remember going to his house and drawing early Radiotron days, bro, you know, and watching him. I had really no graffiti skills, but watching him do his thing and shit. So Prime would be one of them, man. Defer is another. Sign from K2S, rest in peace. He was over from the other spot. He was from 6th and Union, but he was one of one of the greats, man. He's actually probably one of the ones that I would actually say that started that real robotic. I'm gonna turn it. That's responsible for the real robotic chiseled styles that nobody had really been doing in LA. And he came in there and he brought some of those styles over to Pico Union. He was from Sixth and Union, and they just spread around, bro, back and forth. Sign, rest in peace was a big influence too. There's a lot, bro. There's a lot of. I mean, I would see the gang writings walking to school every day, and there's a lot. But I would throw Prime into the mix, man, and Def for sure, man. And the friendships are 30 years strong, man. So plus, so that's one of my favorites there too, man.
So I love that you get to see these styles on the walls, large. You get to see them on paintings. You get to see them on tattoos. You're moving your styles across different mediums, and
Yes.
and sharing them.
I think that's what's kept me sharp, man. The fact that I wasn't bogged down with like one thing. I started wanting to explore different mediums, man, and different things. Walls. I always loved gang writing on walls, and then the skin came, and then trying paintbrush on walls, and then on canvas, and then on skate decks, and then on merch. It's been a constant evolution, man. Constant trying to outdo myself. I'll show you guys another piece. Here's a more recent. I'm sorry, I'm putting this on so you could see two images at once, guys. But
Beautiful piece.
yeah, you guys can zoom in there, and these actually went on a pair of boxing gloves and a custom drop for Brandon Moreno, the assassin baby, for the Mexican UFC champ right now. So that was a special painting we used for first time I ever let a painting like that go on any collaboration I've ever done with a company or anything. If you could see, I mean, there's so many execution, like marker and brush, and they all have a little bit of a different, same letters executed with different mediums, and they take on totally different looks. We start experimenting with backgrounds and colors, and what you're looking at there on your screen. I could if you back out, let me see, because it's kind of freezing up on my end a little bit. Could be my internet. So those are. I mean, that's my favorite stuff to do right now. I was going large scale a lot, trying to do walls like that. Was getting a lot of work with that. I had to take a break from the big murals due to some medical conditions that came up. I had to take a pause on that. But my favorite style was I was kept going, trying to find bigger walls, bigger canvases, and as you can see here by the stuff that's in my studio, I mean the pieces used to be really small, and as I got more comfortable, and as more people started collecting the art, they got bigger and bigger, man. So I'm currently in the process of building some bigger easels to hold bigger canvases and bigger panels, man.
That's amazing. And so who collects your art? Like, who is there a typical buyer or art collector that is attracted to your work, or is it just everybody?
Bro, it's been amazing to see. It's been amazing to see just the amount of people that have bought, but the crossing over from, like, people would think, oh, it's just the tattoo people or when he's traveling, but it's actually the opposite. Maybe because of some of the shows I've been in with Defer and Retna and Gajin and some of the guys and the LA Louver stuff, and meeting Jim McHugh and being introduced to different worlds. It's such a wide array of people, man. Age groups and ethnicities and everything. So when I look at that, I'm like, man, we made it. We crossed all boundaries. We really turned this into an acceptable form of fine art, bro. It's not just like for one group. I mean, there might be a 75-year-old female that buys my stuff, a young tattoo artist that hits me up for a piece. It's getting harder. The prices has definitely gone up. So it's getting a little bit more special or harder to acquire from me. But it's definitely been an interesting road, man. Like, I'll be honestly, bro, I feel like choking up sometimes thinking about that, because that blessing, man. I'm so glad I didn't tap out, bro. That I stuck to what I was doing. And the first shows that I did, man, honestly, bro, like I was really tripping on, Defra and them were like, "You're gonna do this show with us," and I think it was the Trece show, bro. I had no experience fucking painting with a paintbrush or acrylic or nothing. Defra took the time, bro, to sit there and fucking like A to Z, bro. Like this is how we do it. Did a couple canvases with me, washed everything, bro. Prime. It was a learn, bro. It was a fucking learn, man. And I didn't even do them to sell. There was no intent to sell anything. I just was so happy to be part of those shows. I don't know if you attended Boathouse Gallery for the Trece show.
I did go to it.
Yeah. But for me, I mean, I'm new into I mean, I'm around and I've been K2S and everything, but to just kind of get out and be in the tattoo world and then just jump right over into that world and be showing with Retina and Chaz and I think Cryptic I forgot. There was a bunch of us in there, but to be showing with those people at that show, it was amazing to tap into that. But I mean, it was nerve wracking, bro. It was one of those things where I was like, shit, man. But I had the right help and the right people in my corner to kind of push me forward a little bit, And that's why I say I'm really grateful that I had the courage to just say, man, I'm gonna push and I'm gonna push and I'm gonna push. There was no stopping. That's a beautiful piece there. Me, Axis, and Deffer did that. I don't know if many of you are familiar with Axis, another talented guy, man. I look up to him a lot. Respect his work. Super sick workflow, man. Work ethic is off the charts too, man. Those are still earlier styles or earlier experimentations or exploration of like medium for me. Like I wasn't as comfortable. Have you seen Deffer paint, man? When you watching him with that brush, it could be intimidating if you're not in the right zone yourself. You see that guy grab that brush and go to work, and I'm still trying to figure out if I should chalk lines on the wall or kind of how to approach things, because obviously my experience level was way lower, man. So like I said, it's been a learn, man, and I feel like I'm still finding the direction I want to go in, man. There's been a lot of evolving, a lot of change of, the earlier pieces I was doing were really heavy flexing of styles, flexing all like the hand styles and the rounds and all the things. And then they became less flexing and more experimenting with colors. So it's been a constant transition, man, and I think it shows in the work. I've been smart to hang on to a couple pieces from each time. I feel like I'm changing out into a different style. I've been holding on to some of the works, man.
So, question, a couple of last questions, and we're approaching the hour mark.
Okay.
If people want to find your work or buy your work, how do they go about doing that?
Honestly, man, they would have to. Yeah, like I said, I've made it pretty hard to get it. They could reach out direct or email directly through an email or something. I could type it in there, but it's rarely been through Instagram. There's been a few times that maybe people caught us at the right time when we respond or something. It's all been word of mouth work, some private, some gallery stuff with the Louvre and all that turned into like more people collecting. I could type an email address in there. You're not going to find my work for sale online pretty much anywhere. So,
yeah.
Let me see.
All right. And then the last question, I think, before we wrap up, and that people are asked here is, where did the name Sleeps come from? How did you get Sleeps?
That's a classic, bro. You know what? That was my gang name, bro. Sleepy, man. So, I don't remember exactly where the name came from or who gave me the nickname, bro. I think I was just a young teenager, but it stuck, man. Sleepy, and that ended up being the name that I carried, man, since about the age of 14 and stuff. And 2010, I mean, I'm now just thinking like how much change did I really add to it? But I'm like, I'm gonna just add Big Sleeps to it instead of Sleepy. So that's where the Big Sleeps came from. But we in the hood we used to use, like, if your name was Sleepy, it would be Sleeps. You add the S at the end, or Creepy was Creeps, and so forth. If you're from the hood, you know what time it is. But I've had that name since I'm gonna say 86, 87. Never dropped the name, bro. My mom used to talk shit. Everybody would call asking for sleeps, and she'd be like, "There's no sleeps here, man." You know?
That's funny.
Yeah. That's a
And
Deffer. That's a Deffer piece up there. That big Sleepy. See, he still had the Sleepy on there. That's before we dropped the Y and shit. Um, but any more questions, man, or what?
I think that's it. I think we've got the questions covered.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say thank you, man. I think, you spent an hour with us. You took us through a bit of your career and your life. We appreciate hearing the story. I think, for all of us listening, you're an inspiration, your success and your hard work. We're glad to see that it's paid off for you, and you're
Yep.
driven. You're a part of it, and so we see you, and we're paying attention. We look up to what you're doing, and we're glad to see you shift gears
Yeah.
into and be the man that you are today, and the businessman and the artist that you are today. It's amazing that you're here with us, and rocking the way that you're rocking.
Thank
So
you,
thank
man. It
you.
means a lot, bro. It really means a lot, man. Thank you. Like I said, I couldn't really tell if there was comments or people tapping in there, but for everybody that stood the whole hour, man, thank you guys for listening, bro. I hope everyone takes home a little gem from this conversation, brother. It was a pleasure, man, talking to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. So sleeps, uh, have a great night. And so we see you soon.
Are you guys saving this on your feed or something?
Yeah, we save it on the feed and then we cut it up and then we put it on the YouTube. And so everybody
Perfect.
who's missed it, in just a few minutes, this talk will be saved. So you could go back and catch it from the beginning. And then
Nice.
we'll be sharing it on YouTube as well for those of you who want to catch it there and see it on a big screen or whatever.
Peace, guys. Thank you, man. I'm going to tune out. Have a good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
Sleeps.
Take
Peace.
care.